Hey y'all, Black Fist and Brad Blades here with a game review. This time for the game, South of Midnight. Now, we got a treat this time, y'all. I haven't seen too many Black-led video games, especially not ones that are actually covered in culture. Now, this game centers around Southern culture and the folktales from there. South of Midnight is a 3D hack and slash game with some mild platforming as far as difficulty and a style similar to that of Spider-Verse and Arcane. You start the game playing as the character Hazel, packing up for a flash flood and waiting for her mother to return from a shelter since she's a social worker. The story centers around these two as her mother's job keeps things tense around them as they spend less and less time together. But soon after checking on her neighbors, the flood soon sweeps away their trailer, forcing Hazel to run after her mother, still trapped inside. The entire adventure of Hazel trying to get her mother back and learning about the powers she was given by the Grand Weave, making her a Weaver. As the story goes, a Weaver is able to see invisible strands that make up reality and tie the souls of the living and dead. Mounting twists of pain and anguish bring tears into the spirits and can warp people into monsters. Or if they meet their demise, they become Haints. Just looked it up, and they are malicious spirits that cause harm and mischief. Along the way, you have other creatures of southern folklore I had never known about. It's great to see so much lore, but there's hardly a story that didn't have a bitter or a morose ending. From one man losing his parents and becoming a man-bird when his anger is triggered, to the story of an abusive family member causing harm to others for their own gain. Each one creates wounds and knots that Hazel has to tend to. Though she can't change the history, she tries to give therapy in a way. It also helps that to learn in the beginning, Hazel is both aided by a talking both sides catfish that tells stories, and the ghost or memory of a previous Weaver guiding other black people, making you wonder what time in the rural South they came from. Through more tutorials of the game, you get to see all your abilities by Chapter 5. There's a double jump you already have, wall running, a glide that also allows you to travel through gusts of wind. Then there's a push and pull mechanism. There's also a mechanic of pulling things from the past into the present, and a chance a little sack character that goes into small places that Hazel can't fit. These all come from a few essential pickups in the story that also allow you to do weaving spells. The simple grab bag moves make the gameplay enjoyable. Then there's the combat. Yeah, I have heard of the game being a giant God of War as far as the combat. It also doesn't help that her fighting stance goes to Data Boy prequel stance every time there's an arena battle. But with the spells and moves dedicated to string, this has to be the most grounded Spider-Sona you can get. Let me put it this way. Aside from slashing with your hooks at the Haints, you get 5 spells that can be upgraded. You get a weave net to snare them in place, a drawing move that even fully upgraded in the achievements is called Get Over Here. You can send Crouton, the little sack boy, to temporarily control one enemy. You have a blast that knocks enemies away. Then you have a larger blast with an area effect that can knock away your enemies and leave them ensnared. Now, my biggest gripe about the game is that the combat feels decent enough for a fun game. By that, I mean the mechanics are definitely hack and slash, but the battles feel unbalanced. For example, the Haints have 7 different varieties between the Linky Ragdoll looking ones that are first introduced to the heaping sludge piles with tentacles that had me making more hentai jokes. In a hack and slash game, your combos should normally stagger the enemy long enough to get that last big hit and send them off, so unless there's something special about them or tanky. But in this game, whether the combos are too long or the enemies are too tanky, they shake it off and attack back. And if you do not want to get hit, you have to dodge. Even one can stun lock you and keep the attacks coming. It especially doesn't help that your burst dodge, that also works in midair, doesn't let you pass through the enemies or go far enough in my opinion. You can get caught on small things or even walls, eventually causing you to get ganged up on and killed. Speaking of getting killed, When you come back, you do it dropping down from a string in the same area you died.
Well, that's sexy.
The Haints you fight mostly have attacks that are complementary to one another. As the ragdoll ones come swinging in, even with attacks that clear the entire area, you can dodge with the sound prompt to get out of the way. If you dodge at the right time, you can create an explosion knocking away the Haints near you, and in the upgrade, ensnare them. When you have a Haint defeated, they collapse and have a floating knot in the air that can be undone to cause a shockwave and give a fraction of health back. This is good, especially when other attacks from the enemies can have them invulnerable when they turn yellow. Now these arenas don't take too long unless you have a hard time getting used to the combat, and the number of projectiles being thrown at you, they can get overwhelming. The challenge does come in their mix-up as well, as two can shoot across the room. The first can attack from any spot with simple swipes. Two can create suicide bomb flies and area effect damage with their sludge. And one is an earthquake causing boom that can jump or roll to you as well, forcing you to break up combat. The battle to me never seemed boring, and you do get a second dash and upgrade, but it's not as enthralling as you feel it should be. It mostly feels like a compensation for something it's missing, and you're just prolonged by what you lack. The game does have health crystals to upgrade, but you don't get much stronger like other hack and slashes. Other than combat, the areas you visit and the music you hear are exquisite. Now, for the gripes I have with traversal and fighting, I can't say the same thing for the landscape. Never did I think so many bogs and swamps could actually look good, and some of the dream realm parts look absolutely exquisite, as they resemble more of a night scene in an old downtown. Though these are different worlds and maps, the game is plenty linear. The only thing to do is to collect the floating strands she calls flutes to get more memory and upgrade, or find small pieces of the lore in the realm of people's troubles and some of the tragedies they had to endure. That really is the only reason to go out of your way from the main path, but even following just the main road will get you plenty strong just to finish the game. Now this game is about dealing with tragedy and growing or dealing with something bittersweet as an answer. But it sort of sucks that even Hazel's story is a victory, even though it comes with a heavy cost, mostly her own. As Hazel visits one spot to another, mending the emotional wounds, she's doing the same thing with magic as her mother was doing, being present in the misfortunate lives around them. I can't say that it's even one of the greatest games out there, but I think this is a missing link in the weird web of game genres. You can have your narrative-driven hack and slash, not really emphasizing a fighting game's list of combos, nor the biggest list of enemies to kill. Just a simple story of a woman trying to save her mother and connecting as destiny brings them closer. It's a casual gameplay, but I think it's still fun for anyone interested. Either way, this is Black Fist and Red Blade signing out. Have a good one, y'all.